Hello and welcome to today's episode on how to write your thesis chapter 2, mostly titled, Review of Related Literature. I will explain the steps using the most widely used format for chapter 2. The heading for this chapter is typically written as, Chapter 2 Review of Related Literature. To ensure that this heading is centralized and formatted distinctly, for instance, if the body text is a 12-point font, use 14-point font for the heading. It is also advisable to start with an introductory note. Although no subheading labeled introduction is required, an introductory paragraph or note should provide an overview of the chapter. It outlines the themes, key areas of focus, and how the content is organized. This can be written in paragraph form, or itemized for clarity. Please, when writing this section, always check your institution's guidelines for preference. Students always encounter the question, how do I structure my chapter 2? Oftentimes, various supervisors or institutions may recommend a way for you to structure your chapter 2. The most prevalent method used in social sciences is to start with a review of concepts, followed by an empirical review of related literature, and then the theoretical framework. Some institutions or departments will arrange it differently by starting with the conceptual review, followed by the theoretical framework, and then the empirical review. Also, other institutions may interweave the three sections into each research question and use the summary to arrive at a hypothesis to be tested. The different methods require the same content but are applied differently based on institution, course of study, or supervisor preference. It is important as a student to understand what should be incorporated in your chapter 2 and then follow your supervisor's or institution's guide on how to arrange it. But for the purpose of this article, we will adopt the conventional structure of conceptual review, empirical review, and theoretical framework. The first section is the review of the concepts. This section involves breaking down the key concepts related to your research topic. Use headings to organize and discuss each concept comprehensively. Sometimes it is advisable for students to bring out the variables in the title and break the variables into related concepts for clarity. For example, if your topic is the influence of stress on journalism practice in Akwa Ibom State, you can bring out the concepts such as stress and journalism. It is now clear what variables will form your concepts. Then you can break these variables into relevant concepts such as 1. Concept of stress. Here you define what stress is, according to various authors for more in-depth understanding, and then summarize it with how you define stress in relation to your topic, or which author's definition you adopted for your study. This is important because stress can be defined differently and can mean many things. 2. Factors that cause stress. You explain the causes of stress in relation to your topic with sources. 3. Methods of handling stress in a work environment. You are expected to use relevant works of literature to discuss various methods of handling stress. When you are done with stress, you then continue on a different page with the next variable, journalism. 1. Concept of journalism. Here you also critically explain what journalism is all about, how it is defined by various authors, and cite the sources too. 2. Types of journalism practices. You can research the various journalism practices based on your study area, say journalism practices in Nigeria, and then in Akwa Ibom State. 3. Then, stress encountered by journalist. 4. Influence of stress on job performance. By breaking down these concepts and explaining them in detail, using various authors' definitions and which ones you are adopting for your study, you have successfully reviewed the concepts in your study. Here are the tips for you to remember. 1. Each subheading should focus on a specific aspect of the concept. 2. Avoid introducing subheadings you lack sufficient materials to address. 3. And ensure proper citations, and avoid plagiarism. The second section is the review of studies. Some institutions can call it an empirical review. This section requires a very critical review of existing literature related to your topic. Some students do not know how to critically write their research. Now you need to understand what critical means. Critical means expressing diverse views and opinions. For example, research carried out by John Philip, 2026, used a large sample size and clear methods, which makes it more reliable. However, the study looks at one city and may not apply everywhere. With this, you have acknowledged the study but also explored the study limitations and expressed different or diverse opinions on the study. Another example is, Joe Fries, 2027, carried out a study on the impact of income on customer patronage. The study used strong theory to explain its findings. But it did not consider other factors like age, education, or gender, which may likely affect the outcome of his findings. Now, this is critical in your analysis of other people's previous studies in your topic area. And this is what is needed in this section. In some cases, this section is divided into two parts. The first part is theoretical studies. This reviews qualitative materials such as textbooks, scholarly articles, and reports without statistical analysis. And the empirical studies, which reviews materials with statistical or quantitative analysis. For each study reviewed, address these questions. 1. Objectives: what were the objectives of the study? 2. Methodology: highlight key aspects such as population, sampling methods, instruments, and procedures used. 3. Findings: summarize the key findings. 4. Relevance: how does the study relate to your current research? I always advise students to use a tabular form in this section for more clarity. If you are a student who struggles to read long articles or journals, I totally understand it can be difficult. You can download at least 15 to 20 journals or articles on your chosen topic and read the abstracts of each study. The abstract often summarizes each paper, making it easy for you to see at a glance the study conducted by each author. So, for each author, use a tabular form. In your table, the first row should contain the names of the authors. Example, Joe Fries, 2027. The second column should contain the title of the study conducted by the author. For example, impact of income on customers' patronage. The third column should contain the population, sampling methods, instruments, and procedures used. For example, this study sampled a population of 30 customers through a random sampling technique using a close-ended questionnaire instrument and was analyzed using multiple regression analytical tool. The last column should contain the key findings. For example, the study showed that income has a positive effect on customer patronage. My friend, try and do this for all the 15 to 20 studies by previous authors you downloaded. This will clearly reveal what all the authors did. Now group the authors that used similar tools and got similar findings, and start comparing and contrasting them with the authors that got different findings. By this, you are critically analyzing previous studies carried out in your topic area. It may take you some time, but avail yourself some time to do it, as this will bring clarity to what you want to achieve in your study and make your research stand out. For example, your critical analysis can be, say, Joe Fries, 2027, in his study, revealed a positive relationship which concurs with the study carried out by Chris, 2026, and Raf, 2028. However, Frank, 2029, revealed a negative relationship. This may be due to this or that. The reasons for conflicting findings can be an area your study can step in. If there remain some unanswered questions after your critical discussions, that can also set the structure for your gap. Also, ensure that those questions can be answered at the end of your study. If you still find this difficult after this article, kindly leave a comment for more clarity. Now the last section is theoretical framework. The theoretical framework connects your study to a broader theory or set of theories. It provides a basis for understanding your research problem and serves as a guide for interpreting findings. You should understand that every research has a theory or theories that it is anchored on. It is important to identify and acknowledge such theories and explain them in your study. When explaining the theories, you can use this structure. 1. Description: what is the theory about? 2. Proponent: who proposed the theory? 3. Assumptions: what are the core assumptions or propositions of the theory? 4. Scholarly opinions: what have other researchers said about the theory? 5. Relevance: how does the theory apply to your research problem? Let us use the stakeholders theory as an example. You can start by saying, this study will be, for proposal, or is anchored, for completed study, on the stakeholders theory propounded by Edward Freeman, 1984, which is on the assumption that organizations have a responsibility to address the needs of all stakeholders, for example, employees, customers, investors, community. Go further to explain what other scholars said about the theory, the relevance of the theory to your study, and how it applies to your study. In this case, explain why manufacturing firms adopt sustainability reporting to maintain stakeholder trust and improve performance. Another example is the theory underpinning this study is legitimacy theory, propounded by Dowling and Pfeffer, 1975. This theory is of the assumption that organizations disclose sustainability information to align with societal norms and expectations, ensuring legitimacy. However, it is relevant to my study because it highlights how sustainability reporting is used to enhance the firm's reputation and secure social acceptance, ultimately influencing performance. Always follow your supervisor's guidance, but try and understand the key information that is needed in every section. Takeaway tips for this episode. 1. When writing your Chapter 2, ensure each section flows logically, with clear transitions between concepts, studies, and the theoretical framework. 2. Properly cite all reviewed works according to your institution's referencing style. 3. Paraphrase appropriately and use direct quotes sparingly. 4. Regularly consult your supervisor to ensure you align with their expectations and departmental requirements. Thank you for watching.